All right, friends, as I promised, let's begin with some damning information that we have gathered in terms of the lengths to which the Yunus regime is going to facilitate ISI becoming active in Bangladesh across the country to make things difficult for India and our national security, particularly in the northeast. Remember, there was a high-level delegation from the Pakistani ISI which had visited Bangladesh last month, and now we are getting this information that they visited areas close to India's border, the Chicken's Neck corridor particularly, and sources have informed the Republic that Bangladesh's soil is being exploited now fully to facilitate the movement of terrorists even into India, with the ISI reportedly overseeing the inauguration of the new Ulfa camps of Bangladesh on Bangladeshi territory. So essentially, it means that the Paresh Barua faction of Ulfa is going to become active again with the support of Pakistani ISI and the Bangladeshi regime facilitating it. And it seems that this collaboration between Bangladesh and Pakistan is clearly aimed at destabilizing India's northeast. So one, the generals visiting, which was of course public knowledge, and they had done that last month, sometime in the last week of January. But then the information that they just did not visit Dhaka, they stayed in Dhaka cantonment, and then they visited these border areas up north of Bangladesh, which is along India's border. To understand the implications, I'm being joined in by former Director General of Assam Rifles, Mr. Pradeep Nair. Very good evening to you, sir. And this is a concerning information that we are piecing together from the earlier visit of ISI generals to Dhaka, that they have visited border areas of Bangladesh with India, including Chicken's Neck corridor area. What do you make out of this, sir?
It's quite disconcerting, as I would put it. In fact, the Indian Army Chief General Dwivedi had recently made a mention of this, that this is quite surprising because Pakistan, and surely by extension ISI, has absolutely no business being here. It's like fishing in troubled waters. We all know that ISI has been here in the earlier years, fueling insurgency. In fact, let's go back in time. The Naga insurgents had their camps here. Then later on, the militants from Manipur, from Assam, were all here. And proof of that was sometimes between 2010 and 15, some of the top militant leaders were handed over by Bangladesh to us, which included Anup Chetia and Arvind Rajkhoba from Alpha, and Megan from the UNLF of Manipur. So these are some of the top-ranked militant leaders that were handed over, clearly establishing the fact that they were here and they were provided support by agencies that were friendly to them.
Right.
So now if there are reports of the ISI officials coming here and visiting areas. I've read in the media there were some areas, and what disturbed me were some places like Rangpur, which is very close to the Chicken's Neck.
Right.
But also places like Teknaf, which is bordering Myanmar, also Cox's Bazar, and the Chittagong Hill tracks, where most of these camps of Indian militant groups used to be.
Yeah, I will come to that in a bit. We'll discuss that also in detail, Mr. Nair, as to what all the areas they have visited. But let's cut to the next graphic that we have made about the ISI activity in Bangladesh. We are in fact learning that those Pakistani ISI generals and some brigadiers also visited those locations that are reportedly linked to their past efforts to destabilize India. Remember, ISI is becoming active in Bangladesh after decades. During the Sheikh Hasina years, they were completely removed, or any connection that Pakistani ISI could have had with the radicals on the ground were cut by the Sheikh Hasina government. And in fact, it seems that these ISI operatives visiting Bangladesh went to Sherpur. Now look at this area: Sherpur, Jamalpur, and Dinajpur, and look at their proximity to India. Remember, while the border has been fenced in many areas, it still remains porous. We are already grappling with the illegal infiltration issue. And for the ISI to visit those areas and spot maybe agents, hire agents, and radicalize those hires is something which is a matter of huge concern for India. In fact, we are on to our second piece of breaking news, which is, according to sources, those ISI operatives, in fact, have gone full ballast, and as many as 67 of them are tasked with training radicals in Bangladesh. Possibly they would be flown down and trained in Pakistan also, and these radicals include that of Al-Quds, radicals include that of Chhatra Shibir, and the radicals include that of Hizb ut-Tahrir. And so it is becoming clear that ISI is fully operational now in Bangladesh, courtesy the Yunus regime in Dhaka. So let me go back to Mr. Nair again. Mr. Nair, this seems like a full-blown operation. This is not a covert operation. This is like they have fully come out, and Bangladesh now connecting with Pakistan in a manner with the aim of and objective of compromising India's national security. But Yunus regime is giving Bangladesh territory on a platter to ISI to become active.
Yeah, before I answer that, I would want you to address me as General Nair and not Mr. Nair. We hold our ranks very dearly to us. So yes, you must see what happened just about a month back. If I remember the dates correct, between 13th and 18th of January, you had a Bangladeshi delegation led by General Kamrul Hassan, which went there. And they met the services chiefs, also the ISI chief there in Pakistan. So that is when it was decided that there will be some kind of training that will be conducted by the Pakistan Army here in Bangladesh, and is possibly the first time since 1971 that something like this has happened. Then you had the Pakistani ship docking in the ports of Bangladesh, again a first since 1971. There were no trade relations also between the two countries. So suddenly, while they're trying to kind of warm up both these armies, surely the target is India. And we are, I'm sure, our concerned agencies would be taking notice of this and addressing this issue in the manner that they should be.
Right. One more breaking element on this, sir, and I'll come to you again, and which is that the Pakistani ISI delegation, apart from engaging with all these anti-India elements, the radicals of Huji and Hizb ut-Tahrir and Al-Quds, also met with officials from the Arakan region in Bangladesh, essentially the ARSA, which is Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, and the Rohingya Solidarity Organization, among others. So essentially, ISI trying to spread its tentacles wide in terms of connecting with the radicals in Myanmar also, and that really makes it even more serious, because we have been trying to contain radicalism coming out of the Rohingya region, the Arakan region of Myanmar, and a lot of work being done by the government of India, both in Myanmar and in Bangladesh. And it seems that this is an attempt is being made to neutralize that effort. Coming back to you, General Nair, what are the options available to us apart from, of course, upping our game in terms of security measures? How can we neutralize all these activities right there in Bangladesh where it's happening?
I wish to state that what is happening currently, to my understanding, is just a temporary measure. The government is just, the interim government that is there is just trying to play to the gallery, play to the huge kind of disillusionment, so to speak, that they had against the Sheikh Hasina government. They're trying to play upon that, because the other things that they were supposed to address, like announcing an election for that matter, even carrying out reforms, none of that is being done. It is all a tactic to divert the attention and, like you rightly brought out, go beyond the realms of India and Bangladesh, even trying to engage with the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, whose leader incidentally happens to be a Pakistani. This ARSA, as we know it, was raised at the behest of ISI. And it was from the camps of the Rohingyas who came into Bangladesh. We know that over 1 million of them are there in Bangladesh. It is from them that this Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army has been raised. But the point to remember here is, while they may do this, ARSA is not liked in the Rakhine state of Myanmar, neither by the Myanmar army nor by the Arakan army, which is now having control over most of the state there.
Right. General Nayak, before I let you go, one last question. You know, while the Yunus regime would do whatever it has to do, it can do, and India, of course, would counter that. As I mentioned earlier, the National Security Advisor, I think, made a quick dash to Bengal and met with many of the officials in charge. How can we counter this at a popular level? I mean, can you tell us, since you have been there in the region when you were in service, the topography, the demography, how I mean, it's such a serious matter. How can we get people involved so that whatever radicalization is happening on the ground, and the ISI would, of course, take it to the next level, can be countered?
Surely we can counter. And for starters, I would say there's one thing that Pakistan can do nothing about, is the border that we share with Bangladesh. You would be knowing that the 4,096 kilometers of border that we share with them constitutes almost 97% of their border. Second is the cultural linkages that we have with Bangladesh. Typically, any person from Bangladesh considers himself Bengali first, then the religious angle only comes later. So no matter what the current government does, eventually it is geography which will dictate everything else. So what we are currently doing in terms of exercising patience, strategic patience or diplomatic patience, as you would call it, is absolutely the right thing to do, because this is just a temporary blip. We cannot overlook the deep relationship that we have, and there are many areas of common interest that are there for us. Climate change, for example, cyclone warnings, tsunami warnings, all of that, Bangladesh is dependent on us, not to talk of food grains, medicines, medical tourism, all of that. Incidentally, you would know that amongst the medical tourists who come to India, almost 30% of them are from Bangladesh. Visas that they apply for, almost 58% of the people who are applying for visas are for medical tourism. So these things are something that Pakistan cannot give, no matter what. So what we are currently doing is the right thing to do to exercise strategic and diplomatic patience.
All right. Thank you so much, General Nayak, with that perspective and deep insights from your experience there in the geography, and hopefully our agencies would successfully counter all these dangerous designs that Yunus regime, howsoever temporary, has on compromising India's national security. Thanks once again for joining us